NSFW, what have you found out about someone that you would never tell them you know? I'm in a fantasy football league at work. I was over in r/ff and saw a post that was identical to a question my work buddy asked me that day. Looked at his username and he used his real first name. Checked his user history and yup, it was him. Instead of spoiling it with a "ha, gotcha buddy," right then and there, I've been following his posts and giving him bad advice on drops he should make and lopsided trades he should specifically make with me. This all started 2 years ago, and he's since dropped out of contention and is now basement dwelling bottom feeder at about 9th or 10th place. Reddit, not safe for work leagues, Methodica. When you finally tell him, he's going to be so mad and equally impressed. You kidding? I'm gonna die with this. I should come clean now and admit that once I knew I could manipulate him in real life through Reddit, I didn't stop at just fantasy football. I mean, it is a long off season. No. He also likes to travel and frequents the subreddits of the local towns he's going to be vacationing in, looking for local tips on what to see, where to go, nightlife. Yeah, I know, normal advice any good tourist should be researching. So I'd chime in, take a cruise to Haiti. It's awesome this time of year. I'll just say, that was fun. But as I said before, it's the long off season. Edit, to the people out there thinking I'm trying to get this guy killed, I've gotta explain the dynamic here. We are very close. We work shoulder to shoulder for sometimes 12 to 18 hours a day. There's nothing we don't know about each other, including what kind of porn we like. Especially that. So anything he posts to Reddit, I've already known in real life for years. I love the ducking guy. But I also like winning, like a lot, and ducking with those I love comes in a close second. It's not like I'd send him into real danger. Come on. I'm a ducking hole and arguably a sociopath. Probably, but it's always been a joke. So for those of you thinking I'm marching my friend into the flames of fire, I am. But just in fantasy football. Something I would never tell my ex. I always knew the exact moment she fell asleep because she would fart. The poor thing had probably been holding it in all day. This is so innocent. Strange guy started at my job, told us he was famous from the state he was from, radio show host, this and that. I decided to do some googling. Turns out he was taking upskirt photos of underage girls at Walmart, got arrested and sentenced to prison. He was fired from the radio show, wife left him, and took his millions, and all that happened January 2016. Figured he moved to my tiny town to escape all that from his hometown. TL, Dr. Old Nice Guy started at my work, turns out he's a ex-offender. Edit, he's a rather cool guy, always has a little bottle of liquor, and he knows so much about music it's insane. He's from Palm Beach. Edit 2, by cool guy I mean he's super easy to get along with, and if you didn't Google his ass you'd probably like him. Edit 3, he had several businesses and lots of investments to earn the millions according to him. All this info is a mix between things he's told me personally and what I read online. Man, that dude doesn't understand how Google works. Edit, yes, I see the guy's old. After 9k upvotes, you rest assured, it has been pointed out to me that he's old. Edit 2, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're alright. He is old. My school hired a new computer teacher once, and he really knows how to impress his students. Said he didn't have any social network accounts, but a few high school students tried anyway and googled his name. Turned out he was wanted for fraud and stole some stuff from the last school he worked in. It's times like this, I'm glad I have a common real name. If anything bad comes up I can pass it off as someone else. Discovered that my uncle impregnated a woman just after WWII in Germany, and he got sent back to the States before the little girl was born, and he married his high school sweetheart, and has never acknowledged the German woman and her baby girl, even though she sent many letters, which my grandmother kept. Now his 3 kids, my cousins, have no knowledge of their older sister over in Germany. I have a cousin like this, and we did finally get in touch with her. She decided we were all crazy and trying to ruin her life, and hasn't spoken to anyone since that first meeting. Doesn't always go all nice and happy the way the movies make it out to be. Found out a friend of mine's username on here. doing some late night stalking, and stumbled upon a story on how her uncle raped her. I imagine her trust with me would be broken if she found out that I knew. She hasn't told me for a reason. Edit. Cat's out of the bag. She called me up a little bit ago, asked if I was firework_vasectomy. Decided to be honest and said yes. Long story short, she isn't mad at all. I apologized for snooping, and she said that she would have done the exact same thing. One of those porn sidebar ads used a picture of one of my friends. No matter how much porn you watch of them doesn't make you friends. Sasha and I disagree. Found out a few years ago that a friend's sister is really his mother and that his parents are really his grandparents. His real mom was so young that they took the baby in and raised him for their own so as not to spoil her future. They are all kind of messed up now, unfortunately. Best friend is the same way, except everyone knows. Best guy I've ever known. Works hard. Little girl and one on the way. Bought a house at 18. Always pays his bills and I'd have no problem taking a bullet for him. Close street thing to a brother I've ever had. A guy I worked with ages ago had to go back home frequently to meet with his old boss. Whatever, no big deal. Then one time, when he came to the bar with us, he started being weird, talking about time in prison, but wouldn't divulge why he went. Restaurant staff don't always have spot-free records, so nothing too out of the ordinary. But I got curious, and the internet is my friend. Turns out that his old boss was his parole officer, and he went to jail for possession of child porn, and had molested his neighbor's kids, like all of his neighbor's kids, and served close to 20 years for it. I'm all for giving people a second chance, but when he started trying to hang out with a couple of the underage hostesses, and one of the servers mentioned he offered to babysit, I felt obligated to bring it up to our grams. He was fired. Fast forward about 1 to 2 years, I randomly see him walking into a local drugstore. I was on the phone with my mom, waiting to get off the phone with her before I went in. Less than 3 minutes later he comes walking out with a little black girl. He's white. I don't know why, but I felt icky instantly. Said I had to go, hung up on my mom, called 911, and followed him in my car still on the phone with dispatch until an officer caught up and pulled him over. I never found out what happened, didn't want to know really, but a friend of mine, who he worked with at another place at the time, said he didn't show up for work one day and never heard from him again. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Found out that one of my best friends is an illegal immigrant and is totally unaware of it. Slept over one night, went to grab a drink from the kitchen, and her parents were talking about how they might bring it up to her since she was getting older. The irony is that she frequently talks about how illegal immigrants should immigrate legally and that it's unfair her parents had to spend the time and money to get here the right way. I'm a hiring manager and we do teen internships over the summer. To get the internship we have to e-verify you. This 17-year-old kid found out through me that her social security number was fake and she was an illegal immigrant. Friend of a friend found out he was illegal his senior year of high school when he started applying for college and scholarships. Went from planning his future to aimlessly wandering. When I first got married, my sister-in-law was living with us. One day, while she was at work, she called and asked that I email something to her from her desktop. This was prior to texting and email on phones being so prevalent. So, I used her laptop and her Outlook to send the attachment. I checked the sent items to make sure it went through with the attachment and found an email she had sent to someone of a bunch of pictures of her with lit candles shoved up her SS. I never said anything but had to start hiding all of our stick candles in fear that she'd tip all my Yankees. Should have just bought bigger candles. Challenge accepted. That the man I call my dad isn't really my dad but someone my mom met shortly after I was born. My mom was raped and that's how I was conceived. I only found out from a family friend's son since we are the same age. My parents have never talked to me about it, and I'm terrified of bringing it up to them for my mom's sake. Edit. Thanks so much everyone for the positive words. Yes, I do consider the man who raised me to be my dad. I think it takes a special person to do what he did in accepting my mom and me and raising me as if he was my dad. Even though him and my mom recently had a child together, I was very surprised when he never shifted his attention to his child and instead treated us the same. Edit 2. This post got way bigger than I thought it would. Thank you all for your kind words and advice in both your comments and PMS. I couldn't imagine that there were so many others in my situation. And for all the dads out there, whether you're in a situation like this or not, keep being awesome. Ducking subscribe to Reddit throne. Ducking subscribe to Reddit throne.